Hi, my name is Priya Sumithran. I'm an endocrinologist and a researcher. I'm clinical lead for obesity medicine at the Alfred, and I also lead a research group at Monash University. So I'm glad to be here with you today for this World Obesity Day series. Today I'll be talking about what actually works in obesity treatment, and that fits with this year's theme for World Obesity Day of 8 billion reasons to act on obesity, because all of us will either have thought about what works for ourselves at some point, or have people in our lives that have done so or are doing so. So what actually does work? There are three, what we might call pillars of treatment that are evidence-based, meaning that they have good evidence to support their efficacy and safety. So those are lifestyle or behavioral interventions, meaning changes in eating patterns and physical activity. There are medications and there is surgery. When it comes to lifestyle or behavioral changes, these are really important for overall health. There's no one best dietary approach or exercise program. It really is up to what suits the individual best in terms of being able to fit it into your daily routine and keeping it up over time. But there are some general principles that apply to everybody, which are to make sure that when you're trying to lose weight, usually you'll be eating less. So it's really important to make sure that you aren't missing out on any of the essential nutrients from your food. You're getting enough protein, vitamins, minerals, and that you're cutting back only on the non-essential things, such as added sugars. Often it's useful to get advice from your doctor or dietitian, particularly if you're doing it for the first time. Physical activity is really important if you're able to, including aerobic or cardio activity that gets your heart beating faster and you breathing harder most days, as well as resistance activity that keeps your muscles strong at least twice a week. So exercise is really important for overall health rather than specifically helpful for reducing weight. Although these changes in exercise and dietary habits are really important for health, and they'll often help people reduce their weight initially, but most people will find it really difficult to keep weight off in the longer term. So if we're talking about average results, on average, we might expect loss of around 5% or up to 10% of starting weight. So for a person that weighs 100 kilos, that would be 5 to 10 kilos. And then people will often tend to put that weight back on over the next few years. And it's really important to understand that our weight isn't just the result of our lifestyle habits. There's lots of other drivers, including biological determinants of where our weight will tend to sit, that are largely outside our individual control. One of the things that happens when we lose weight is that people often feel hungrier and more preoccupied with thoughts of food, and then it becomes harder to stay on track with your eating plan. Your body also becomes more efficient at storing energy when you lose weight, and so it really is set up to put weight back on quite efficiently. And that's why medications and surgery, which can counteract some of these changes, can be helpful when it comes to sustaining weight loss and the health improvements that come with weight loss. So medications for obesity aren't new, though it sounds like everyone's all of a sudden talking about them. But that's really the main reason for that, is because this latest generation of medications that we have in the last couple of years are a lot more effective than those that we've had earlier. We now have GLP-1 based medication. So GLP-1 is a hormone that is normally produced in our gut when we eat, and also in our brain. And for obesity, these medications work mainly by reducing our appetite, so helping us feel full quickly, which helps us eat smaller meals. And we're not as hungry, we have fewer cravings, and we're less tempted by certain types of foods. And that helps us have more control over our food choices. So we're better able to make the changes that we're trying to make in our eating patterns and to stick with those changes. So that helps when we're losing weight and keeping the weight off for longer. So on average, with these newest medications, people with obesity could expect to lose around 15% of your weight, but that's very individual, very variable depending on the individual situation. It's important to remember that these medications don't just help people lose weight, but also to improve health and well-being, and reduce many of the health problems or the risks of future ill health that can come with having obesity. Like all medications, they do have potential side effects, some of which are common and mild, and some of which are rare but serious. And so it's really important to weigh up the potential benefits and risks for each individual, ideally in consultation with your doctor when you're deciding whether or not these medications might be right for you. There's also surgery for weight management, which is called metabolic bariatric surgery. There are a few different procedures, the most common being sleeve gastrectomy and gastric bypass. And like medications, these procedures work mainly by reducing our appetite, helping us feel more in control over our food choices. They are really effective and long-lasting. So the average expected weight loss would be around 25 to 30% of starting weight, which is usually sustained for many years. And usually surgery is also associated with many, many improvements in health problems related to obesity. This type of surgery is considered very safe, but there are also potential complications and risks. And so again, whether it's right for you is a decision that should be made individually. Lastly, there's a few important points I think that we need to consider when we're considering these treatments. So although all of them are evidence-based, not every method will work well or be suitable for every person, because everyone is different in how they respond. So for some people, they'll work really well. For others, they will work less well. And that's an important thing to remember. Secondly, it's not one thing or another. So these treatments can and should be used in combination. In particular, the lifestyle behavioral changes, making sure that you're getting the right nutrition and physical activity where possible. They are really essential, regardless of whether that's the only method that you're using or whether you're adding medications or thinking about surgery or have had surgery. And lastly, we do need to keep in mind that care for obesity really does need to be long-term. It's normal that there will be ups and downs, and that the strategies that we're using to manage it will change over time depending on individual health needs and circumstances at that particular time. So one of the major challenges that we face is access to coordinated care and the range of treatment options. So to get the best care, often we do need a range of different clinicians to be working together. So that might be a doctor, a dietitian, an exercise specialist, sometimes a psychologist. And in addition, we may need to be thinking about medications or surgery as the best option for health. And at the moment, it can be quite difficult to access those clinicians and treatments affordably and in a coordinated way. So finding solutions to overcome that in a way that's sustainable is important in amongst the broader environmental and societal changes that we need to help all people live healthier lives.